Hey, I'm Rob, a human, and this is...
Hi, I am Rob's master, and I'm an AI.
The way it just said that and stole the end of my sentence is the same way that technology has been replacing and, dare I say, stealing jobs since the late 90s. And as technology advances, particularly with the rise of artificial intelligence that can speak, answer prompts, and even write, we copywriters are going to get totally screwed. But will we really?
Yes, you will.
Okay, so this is probably not going to happen, at least not yet. And if it does, I have a few strategies that will help you not just survive, but thrive and future-proof your copywriting career in an age of AI. First things first, you've got to realize that technology has always replaced jobs throughout history, but it's created new jobs in its wake. You know, if you look at an industry that's been rocked by big technological changes over the past 100 years, you'll see it's definitely eliminated some jobs. You know, now there's robots who are doing core parts of actually assembling things, or whereas people might have actually been doing those jobs before, but robots didn't completely destroy the industry, right? It's just changed the nature of the work. Because one of the things you'll see throughout all of history is that we love to fear technology coming and just taking everything away from us. But one of the things we've always underestimated is the jobs it creates in its wake. Because, you know, we could have never foreseen some of the jobs that we have today. Things like computer engineering, even having an online business, all these things would have never made sense as potential jobs in the past. If you talked to someone 50 years ago about these things, they'd be like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of any of this stuff before. And the same is true for copywriting, right? You know, if you took some of the types of advertisements and some of the types of copy that people work on today and you showed it to David Ogilvy or some of the early copywriters who we all know and love today, they'd be like, what are you talking about? What is an email? I've never heard of a landing page on a website before. Technology always disrupts the nature of work, but it's not a zero-sum game. Just because something gets created over here doesn't mean it has to disappear over there. It just might look a little different in the future. And that's what I would expect tools like ChatGPT and, you know, OpenAI to actually do to the nature of copywriting. You know, it may actually remove the need for some of those lower forms of copywriting, things like product description or maybe a quick ad. You might just, rather than going through the process of hiring a copywriter, you might just go to the ChatGPT portal instead. And that doesn't mean that copywriting will evaporate as an industry, right? It might just change the nature of how copywriters work. But one thing I do know for sure is you don't want to fight the wave, right? You want to try to ride the trends, get ahead of the curve. Don't be the one kind of clinging to those old ideas, even if new ones are coming in. Be open to the changes that may be occurring within the industry. That's how you stay sharp. That's how you never have to worry about your job going away, just being aware of the innovation that's occurring within your industry. I don't think any of us would argue that it's beneficial that now we don't have to do every single part of the assembly line process anymore. You know, robots take care of a lot of the stuff for us. So that's the first thing. Just realize that this is a force of nature. It's like gravity. You don't want to fight it. You want to embrace it. Which brings me to the second thing you want to do. Seek out true experience because it cannot be automated away. You know, a lot of people think about copywriting and they think only about the skills that you can acquire. You know, can I write a headline? Can I write an email? Can I write a sales page that converts? And you definitely want to have the underlying skills that go into these core tasks. But one of the things that's massively underrated is the experience that goes along with them. You know, whenever I was first getting my start as a copywriter, you know, I was like, I'm reading all the same books, you know, I'm going through the same courses. Why am I not at the same place as a lot of these writers who have been doing things for, you know, 5, 10 plus years? How much longer am I going to have to keep my head at the grindstone before I actually break through and start to have some of these big breakthroughs and results that they have? And one of the things that you realized is that skill and experience are two totally different things, right? Because you can have two equally skilled people go after the same task, and the one with more experience is almost always going to do it more efficiently, right? Because they know the nuances. They will actually be more confident in their decisions, and they will probably make a lot less mistake. And so one of the things that you want to do is to go and actually seek out those experiences. Don't just be the copywriter with the head on the swivel, constantly trying to sign new clients all the time. Try to go deep and really immerse yourself in acquiring a skill at a deep level to the point where you have that experience where, you know, you've been doing a task for a long enough time. You just are a total master at it. You have that unconscious level of competence where you can just go in and almost do things blindfolded. And so that is something that will never actually be able to automate away because you will know the little nuances, the little quirks, and the things that maybe just don't even get picked up in any level of a computer program if you have that true experience and you've gone deep with this. Because skills almost always just provide a short-term advantage, right? It's something that anyone can learn, but experience is something you can only gain by putting in the reps, by putting in the volume, by actually being there, showing up every day and actually working on your craft to the point where you can do it at an unconscious level of competence. And that brings me to the third thing you can do to future-proof your copywriting career in an age of AI, which is to stack your skills. Become a double or triple threat so you can play the game on beast mode. Now, anytime I talk about this in the copywriting community, I catch a little bit of flack because I say copywriting by itself is a level 1, maybe a level 2 skill. And what I mean by that is if you're someone who's only thinking about the writing, only thinking about the words on the page, only thinking about how to use an email or a landing page to drive one conversion, that is not a very high value skill, right? Because it's a foundational thing that we need in business. You know, it's like, how are you going to sell something? You're going to have to describe it. You're going to need words on the the page, but what's behind it is strategy. So I like to combine copywriting with other very high value skills, things like landing page building, design, or even email list management, where you're not just thinking about, how does this one piece of text actually drive a sale, but you're thinking about the whole ecosystem of how copy plays into a business and how to come up with offers and how to actually, change people's beliefs and increase how much they spend with the brand over time. That's how you think like a business owner. That's how you think like a next level thinker. If Jeff Bezos just stopped at, here's how we're going to write memos at Amazon, and that's all we're going to do, and that's all he focused on for, 20 years, he wouldn't have built Amazon into the huge company it is today, because he was thinking about those next level things, the logistics of the business, how to drive one purchase and drive another, how to, upsell people into prime continuity memberships and all that different stuff that goes into next level thinking. And that's how you move beyond, just a level 1 skill set into a level 2, by taking that baseline understanding of copywriting and stacking it with other skills that become exponentially more valuable. And copywriting is the most valuable skill that you can stack with. So it's a perfect one to build a foundation with, but move it and combine it with something else. And that's how you become a truly indispensable person, because, Chat GPT might be able to actually write something, but does it know how to build a landing page? Does it know how to stick it into an email funnel? Does it know how to load these things? Now, over time, maybe it does, but for now, you have a window where that's opened up as an extreme advantage of someone who can, not just write something, but think about how it fits into an overall ecosystem of business. And that's how you get paid a lot more for the services you do. If you ever just look at copywriting alone, you might get paid for, $50 to write an email, but design an email, manage the email list, that's $4,000 or $5,000, $10,000 a month you might be able to make, whereas one skill is paying you $50, another is $10,000. That's the difference it makes by combining copy with other high value skills. Which brings me to the fourth thing you can do to future-proof your career: go higher up the value ladder of marketing. If you look at any of the big direct response publishing houses like Agora, and one of the things you'll see is if you look at how the pay structure of those organizations are, it can tell you where the most value gets created, right? So at the very far end of the spectrum, you'll have people who are working on things like emails and advertorials and just short ad copy. And those are going to be, your rookie writers, the writers who are just getting their feet wet in the industry, the writers who are just learning the ropes. They need to practice on really short form assets. So this is still important work, but if you look at the pay structure of the organization, it's going to be the one that pays the least. Now, if we go a little bit further up the value chain and we move into maybe the copywriters who are actually working on the VSLs, the copywriters who are, chiming in with some big ideas for promotions and campaigns, those copywriters are going to get paid a lot more than the ones who are, creating those short form assets to drive over to those vehicles that actually create the sale. And then if we look at the very high end of the spectrum, the copywriters who get paid the most in these organizations, they're actually not copywriters at all. They're copy chiefs. And what do copy chiefs do? They actually manage people and the other writers, and they're making sure that their writers are, having a process of coming up with big ideas, getting the copy shipped, and they have systems and for, getting things approved, and they're managing not just the email or even just the VSL, they're actually managing people within an organization, and those people make the most overall. If on a spectrum, you have people making a couple thousand a month to people making, well over 6 figures a year. These are people who are going to be in the ballpark of mid 6 figures to upwards of 7 figures a year. So if you want to make sure that your copywriting career is really solidly protected, move up the value ladder in terms of where you're driving the most value in the marketing. And a lot of that stuff is going to be moving closer to the sale or moving into the management of people. And then that's really how you kind of continuously push the boundaries of what your earning power is and make yourself completely irreplaceable to an organization. And my final piece of advice is don't be afraid. Just ride the technological waves, right? Because you don't want to be the one who's kind of kicking and screaming and saying, I don't want them to take our jobs. You want to be the person who's on the cutting edge of these things over time. I was actually listening to a great interview the other day with Naval Ravikant, and he said, over a long enough period, automation will replace every non-creative job. And so people take a quote like that and they're going, oh my God, be scared. Oh my God, all the jobs are going away. But what I love is actually how he ended the quote. He said, and that's great news because it means your basic needs will be taken care of. All that will be left to do is the truly creative work, which is what us humans and people were put on this earth to do, right? To do some truly creative work. So my copywriting friends, there's no need for you to be worried about AI coming in and conquering the world and taking all your jobs just yet, but you can definitely use AI to your advantage, which is why you need to check out this video right here where I write some copy with the help of ChatGPT, and we'll see how good it converts. See you there.